Hello, viewers. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let me introduce myself. I'm C. Pal Singh, President of NISSMAT at this end. I'm an ex-police officer and I'm associated with certain charitable institutions also as a chairman. As the President of NISSMAT, I'd like to say a few words about NISSMAT as such. NISSMAT is a National Institute of Security, Safety, Management, and Applied Technology, which was established in the year 1990. Initially, it organized training courses in the field of security, safety, management, and technology. For the last 3 years, however, it has become a think tank organization and has conducted webinars, interactive sessions, interviews, podcasts, etc., on a number of subjects. Renowned scholars, professionals, journalists, lawyers, and management experts have appeared as our guest speakers for various programs. Today, we have a think tank of more than 95 scholars who keep providing us inputs from time to time on various subjects. The speaker of today's session is Mrs. Francesca Barolo, a reputed social activist. Francesca is an accomplished professional in the development sector and with a career which spans over about 25 years. Having remained as a research scholar on gender studies in the University of Turin, Italy, she has performed roles with national and international NGOs. She has also worked with UNESCO and International Finance Corporation. She holds master's degree in peacekeeping, University of Turin in Italy, and is also master's in sociology from Delhi School of Economics. Her experience lies in advocacy, project management, operations, and fundraising for charitable institutions. Having moved to India about 20 years back as a student, Francesca has fully embraced this country as her home. She has built a life and a family with her husband, who is an Arjuna Award winner and a polo player. Together, both of them are proud parents of 2 children. Their 9-year-old biological son and Nimrat, their 3-year-old daughter, who was adopted by them in March 2024. During her talk, she will also explain her experience as a proud adoptive parents. Before the commencement of session, which will be moderated by Maj Gen Deepak, let me say a few words on the subject itself. We all know that every year, thousands of children are abandoned due to poverty, due to some stigma, due to any social pressures, or due to certain other handicaps, social and parental handicaps. These children are often found abandoned in hospitals, public places, or at times left in unsafe conditions. Many suffer from malnutrition, health issues, and psychological scars. As we all know, children always crave for love, attention, and belonging. These things only a family can offer. This is where adoption becomes a beacon of hope for such children. Well-to-do families with the means and stability can make a life-changing difference for these children. Such adoptions transform not just the child's life, but also the heart of the family itself. Yet, many hesitate due to some social stigma or lack of awareness. It is essential to promote adoption as a noble, compassionate act. Every child, I feel, ladies and gentlemen, deserves a loving home, and just survival in institution is not the answer. By adopting, well-off families can offer opportunity. They can offer opportunities in education and secure their futures. Most importantly, such families offers a sense of identity and unconditional love to these children. Adoption is thus not a charity only. It is justice for a child who has lost everything. The goal should be clear. No child should grow up without a family, I feel. Together, ladies and gentlemen, we can replace abandonment with sense of belongings. I'll say 2 words about General Deepak. General Deepak is a moderator of NISSMAT, one of the most experienced army officers. He has seen war, and he has also seen long non-family life. Major Deepak is rated one of the most competent army officers in the country. He will interact with Francesca in this session. Major Deepak, may please take over and proceed further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much indeed. And Francesca, let me first compliment you and Simran to have given a life, what Mr. Sipal Singh had mentioned. You've given security, you've given a name, you've given a life, and given a future to the small child. When you picked her up, she was just about 2 years old. And my kudos to you and Simran for that. I think you've done human service to humanity. And that's what I have to say. Firstly, what do you have to say for this? How did you pick up Nimrit?
So this conversation actually happened in our family for a long time. Ever since we decided to have children, we discussed the fact that we would, try for a biological child, and then we would have 2 children at least, and we wanted to be adopted. So the history goes that obviously we had our first child in 2015. And then, it takes a few years to adapt to what being a parent is after being quite a life-changing experience, as people who have children know. And then in 2019, we decided that we were ready to apply for adoption. And so we did. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and then everything froze. So actually, we waited a long time. We waited more than 4 years to be able to adopt. We actually almost 5 years.
It takes that long?
So to be honest, normally, if you don't have COVID in between, you can hopefully adopt a child within 3.5 years. It takes a very long time. The thing is, there are not many children who are actually legally adoptable in the system. While the country has millions of orphan and abandoned children, the number of adoptions in the country, as per the Centralized Adoption Resource Authority, which we normally call CARA, which is a centralized agency that legally handles adoption, we actually have around 3,500 to 4,000 adoptions a year. There are lesser children than to be adopted than parents who want to adopt. So the demand is actually higher than the offer, if one wants to use a market euphemism for folks to understand better what we are talking about. But yeah, it's a very long process. So my thought has always been, we already had a biological child.
Yeah.
So while obviously we had a desire to have another child, it was not the desire of parenthood that we were seeking after. And my thought always goes to those couples or individuals who choose adoption because for various reasons, perhaps they're not able to have a biological child. And then they have to wait for 3.5 years or 4 years. It can be a very demoralizing process, but then it's the most rewarding one.
It is,
undoubtedly. Magic message on your phone that says you have been matched with a child.
That's
and then again, your life changes completely.
You've been in this field for very long. You have tremendous credentials in terms of your work where you've done in the past. What do you feel is the prevailing situation in India about the rehabilitation of abandoned children?
So as I was mentioning, the fact is that there are millions of abandoned children, which I think SOS Village, which is an NGO that works on the subject, estimate being around 4% of the total number of children.
My God.
Yeah, but only a very small fraction of these are in institutions. And then even smaller fractions of these children are actually legally adoptable because they have not been surrendered, because for various reasons, they are actually not available for adoption. So what happened is that many children that are, as I said, not legally free, end up living in institutional care for many years. And even when they become older and perhaps become legally free, then it becomes even more difficult to be adopted. Because let's be honest, couples prefer to adopt younger children. It's very difficult for elder children to be adopted. Having said that, one has to acknowledge that we are lucky to have shelters. We are lucky to have these children homes, because obviously then these children get access to food, clothing, educations. But obviously, because they're still institutions, what really lacks is what Mr. Sipal Singh was talking earlier, the deeper emotional and psychological support that the family...
Very important. That's a very important facet.
Yeah, a family can provide that, especially a family who's looking to build a larger family and to have children. So that's definitely something that the system will always struggle with.
Yeah. And, every day in the newspaper, we see a large number of children who are, left at the railway station. They're found on the roads and streets. And how do they, some organization picks them up and takes care of those children till the time the parents are found?
So what happens is that usually the police is called, and then there are specialized agencies who can take sort of custody of these children. These are agencies similar to the one that Mr. Sipal Singh and I are on the board of, which is called Children of the World Delhi. We are basically being cleared by the government. We have a mandate by the government to, be a institution where children can be sent to and live.
Right.
They are sent immediately for a medical checkup to check not only their health status, but also to exclude the potential of these children having been abused. And that's why perhaps they've been abandoned or they've been found alone. And then when they are placed in the institution and the police tries to trace the parents or relative of the child, there are missing reports filed. there are notices up. So that also is part of the process that delays the child becoming legally adoptable, because you have to wait a certain amount of time before then the child can be declared that they don't have a family looking for them, they don't have any ties, and therefore they can be put in the system for adoption.
Yeah, that was exactly, you mentioned that it would take 3 to 4 years to adopt a child. What is it? Because it's a hold up at the bureaucratic level, or is it some other reasons, in terms of the procedures are very long? What is the reason for this take such a long time?
So the process is not the easiest, but then every bureaucracy is sort of the same, right? It has its pros and cons. We are also talking of children. We are also talking of, massive responsibilities that family wants to take on. So it's only fair in a way, I think, that there are lots of documentation required, background checks by the CARA and all. The waiting periods are indeed enormous, but right now the delays are really due to the fact that there are lesser children than families who wish to adopt. So because of the process of making the children available, sorry, it sounds quite awful to say the children available, but for the children to be adoptable, if it's a word in English, we are in a situation where, quite strangely, there are so many children in need, but legally they cannot be sent for adoption. One thing that is not spoken, I think, in my opinion, about often enough in the country is actually foster care. You see, abroad, or at least one can think what we have all seen in movies, especially like Hollywood movies, there is this system of foster care, which is really spoken about quite commonly. In the country, there is absolutely very little knowledge about the option of foster care. So foster care is basically children who are not legally adoptable, but they are still living in institutions.
Yep.
They have to be above 6-year-old, but they can be put into the care of a family. So they can actually have the chance to live in a family.
The foster parents, as they call them.
Yes, exactly. But in this country, it's still an unknown entity, let's say. While adoption has become a little bit more common, or at least talked about and accepted, foster care is still quite an unknown entity, as I was saying.
I asked this question I was reading somewhere. The rules are very stringent. For example, a girl child can only be adopted by a woman and a couple. A single man cannot adopt a girl child. That is one.
Yeah.
The age gap between the adopted parents and the child must be at least 25 years. I think the very stringent sort of terms of reference for the adoption of a child. Do you think any changes are required in that? Because you've gone through this, and if a person wants to adopt a child, these constraints may not permit a person to adopt a child.
So what happened is that all these rules, when are put in place, are always come from the trying to protect the child, right? So the idea of having males being able to adopt, single males being able to adopt only male children and so on and so forth, comes from a perception of trying to protect the girl child, which I have serious concerns about, because I really don't think that it's, that if somebody has to be a bad person, it's going to be a bad person with a boy as much as with a girl. But that's my personal opinion. The age difference is, I think, the minimum 25 years is because if you're trying to adopt, let's say, newborn or zero, so basically it goes into age bracket. So when you apply for adoption, you can indicate your preference in age of the child that you wish to adopt. So it's 0 to 2 years, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, and so on and so forth.
Oh, I see.
So if you were to choose a 0 to 2, let's say, if you have someone lesser than 25 years, obviously it could be someone who's very accomplished, right? But the idea is that these children should also go into families or to individuals who have the way to sustain themselves, to give a life to the child that has regular income, that has a nice living situation. So I think that rule was set to ensure that the persons who enter as adoptive parents have already established themselves in life a little bit.
Yeah.
What is a bit, what I think could be changed is that there is also the rules that if you're a couple, the total age of the two individuals has to be maximum 99 years if you wish to
Okay.
adopt.
Okay.
So what I always think is that it's a bit restrictive as well, because sometimes, you reach 45, 50, let's say, and then you realize, okay, maybe we could have a teenager. Like, at that age, you feel that you can handle perhaps an elder child, because again, you are a different person, you're more mature, and then you can't. And those are exactly the children who are left behind in the system. Most of
Okay, now you see, Nimrat was just 2 years old
Yes.
when you got her. And did you find any difficulty for her to adopt to the family life? She may not have seen, she was very young, of course, I mean, a very malleable mind. But did you find her any problems in adjusting to the family?
Well, to be honest, no, I didn't. She just came in and became one with the whole family. But I think it's also how you introduce your child into the new life, right? We were very careful of not making her feel overwhelmed. So while obviously there was a massive enthusiasm sorry, I forgot to mention, we actually met Nimrit in Ludhiana. So we went to collect her in Ludhiana. She was in a childcare home in Ludhiana, and then we brought her back to Delhi. And obviously, when we arrived in Delhi, there was this massive enthusiasm of the in-laws, of everyone to spend time with her. But we were very careful, and everyone was extremely understanding of the fact that we would keep it as simple and as streamlined as possible. So not too many people, not too much, overwhelming, because there was so many changes in her life.
Of course.
But a very interesting incident is that it's not an incident, actually, it's a memory. Is that so Nimrit, as I said, she came from Ludhiana, and we assume the first 2 years of her life she would have lived in Ludhiana, but we don't know, right? And so obviously being Punjab, and when we came back home, and as you will know, my father-in-law, my whole family, they are Sikh, and my father-in-law wears a turban. So while the common perception is that if a child sees a man in a turban, might get, worried or shocked or whatever. The moment she saw my father-in-law, she had the biggest smile on her face. So Dadaji became a favorite person within like 5 seconds. And she ran and hugged him, because we can only assume it was reminding her of the first 2 years of her life.
Yeah.
So it's like, so the integration in the family was very smooth.
It was slow, yes. I know KMS.
Yes.
I'm sure they would have been very helpful in getting the child together. And how did Veer take on? Veer must be 7 years of age when Nimrat came. And how did Veer take on to this?
So Veer was actually the most excited person of the whole family when the message came that we finally got matched with a child. And Simran, my husband, and I were like, you're actually given 48 hours to decide whether you want to go ahead or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, we thought, okay, now are we ready? Suddenly, in 48 hours, you have to decide. And luck wants that my husband was actually leaving very soon for a 6-week polo trip. So we were like, okay, is it the right time really? Because she will come, I will be alone with the children and all. And Veer was like, absolutely, I want to have my sibling very soon at home and all. So Veer, myself, and my mother-in-law went on a Friday to Ludhiana to meet Nimrit. Simran was playing a tournament and actually reached the final, so he was not there the whole weekend. So Veer, my mother-in-law, and I had the chance to meet Nimrit both on Saturday and Sunday when we reached Ludhiana, and spent some time with her. Before Monday, we had our meeting with the adoption committee to then bring her home. So it was, I think, also very nice for Nimrit to know she was coming to the house where there was another child. So he's actually, Veer himself is a very affectionate and very lovable child. So he really showered his sister with a lots of love and all.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Now we have already reached the phase where like they fight like siblings, like, oh, he's looking at me, oh, she's breathing on my neck or whatever. So we are also, again, very happy that that is happening. They're real sibling, like they love each other, but they have those moments in which they fight.
Now, she's been with you for close to 1 year now.
Yes.
She's totally integrated. Is she totally integrated with the family now?
Yeah,
Or she
yeah,
still
fully on.
have some reservations? No.
No, fully on. I think it took approximately like 2 to 3 months for her to still have some,
Yeah.
you could see in certain moments that she maybe withdraw herself and she was like, looking, perhaps it was memories from before, we don't know, but like after that, she's been completely fully integrated.
Excellent. I think you've done tremendous.
Thank you.
And you feel it is actually rewarding to adopt a child? Because, after this talk that we'll be having now, it'll be going all over. And is it rewarding to pick up a child, a destitute child, a child which has been abandoned, and give her a life, give her a future? And what do you feel of it?
So I think it's one of the best things I've done in my life. I mean,
Wonderful.
it's the thing is, then after she came home, I never thought of her again as a child who came into my home. She's become my child. It's so easy to just integrate into the family and really make, they also adopt you, you also become theirs. When they call you mama, when they call their siblings Bhaiya, then you suddenly are like, oh wow, she's fully in, right? Mama is still okay, like, whatever. But Bhaiya was like the moment, because that she knew exactly who Bhaiya is and what Bhaiya represents. So for me, that was absolutely a turning point.
I would love to meet her. When we meet in Vasant Vihar.
Or in Vasant Vihar, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
For sure.
And do you have any recommendations towards easing the system of adoption? Or do you find the system is perfectly okay?
So I think nothing is ever perfect. We got very lucky in the sense that, so just for those who might not know exactly how the process works, is you register on an online portal, you upload a series of documents that are listed, and it's very clear now, the portal, or whatever document you require. And then you are matched with what is called an adoption resource agency, who is going to come and do your assessment, right? Because obviously they need some checks and balances in place. We got very lucky that we got matched with very good agencies and very good social workers who came home to do our studies, answered all our questions, guided us in understanding what the system was, told us that we had to be patient, explained to us what the challenges at times are, how we could, interact with other couples who had already adopted. We are also very lucky that we had a series of family friends who also adopted.
Okay.
So we could talk to
important.
them, we could understand the system, we could understand what to expect. You, as a parent, you never really know, and things like that. So the system per se is well designed. If you, as I said, if you have a good social worker that has been matched with you. I hear stories of others, what we are called prospective adopted parents till we get a child. So we're called PAPs. I heard stories of PAPs who had social workers who would not pick up the call, would not help them understand the system, would not help them in understanding why there were delays. So the system becomes then a bit, it's very dry, it's very cold. You don't have an interface. Cara per se is a helpline number, which obviously is inundated with calls. They're trying to do the best. There could be a way to ease it. I mean, the system earlier, like till I think around 10 years ago, was completely different, was not centralized. You would go directly to children's home, but then that also led to a lot of other issues of people trying to cheat the system, of people manipulating the system. So then they decided to centralize it so that everyone would have the same chance.
That's, we want to be very careful with that. Absolutely.
Yes.
And one question, like now, Nimrat, she's called as a Shergill.
Yes.
Oh God. And her father is a Arjun Award and a handicap 6 in polo. I'm sure Veer also would be looking towards to polo. No.
Yes, he's already playing. He's already played the sub-junior IPA, is fully on into his polo experience, Veer. And hopefully Nimrat as well, once she's old enough to ride. Let's see if she who knows.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
And any other advice you like to give to parents, people who would like to adopt a child? I think it's a tremendous humanitarian factor. You give a child a life, you give a identity, you give the safety, security, and the education for times to come. Any advice you have to give to some parents who would like to adopt a child?
What I think it's very important is to find fellow parents who've already adopted, because what you can learn from them in terms of getting yourself ready for the struggles that your child might have into integrating into the family, or even how to hold discussions with not your immediate relatives, because obviously you would have already had those conversations in the family before you proceed with adoption. But also, how do you then discuss or introduce your child to the larger community? There are people who prefer to hide the fact that they've adopted a child, and they just, especially if they adopt a newborn, they just don't tell anyone. We've always been very open about the fact that Nimrat is adopted. We talked to Nimrat about the fact that, before you came and after you came, because obviously she's also, now that she's getting older, she's starting noticing that there are newborn pictures of a brother, but there are no newborn pictures of herself. So how to have these conversations? You can be left.
You see, I got to know of your adopting a child much earlier. Raj told me so.
Yes.
And I was really elated. I said, fantastic, fantastic, the wonderful gesture on the two of you to have taken up a child, give her a life and the future. It's fantastic. And I think you both have done, and even KMS and you've done a humanitarian service. And we wish you all the best in times to come. And I hope she will do well. I'm very sure that she must be fully integrated with you all, and I'd love to meet her.
Yes, very soon. We should make that happen.
Francesca, thank you very much indeed to have spent some time with us. It's a good sort of input to the people who want to. There are a large number of people, who want to get a child because for some reason or the other, medical reason or something, they don't have a child. Yeah. They want to get a child. The talk with you will help them tremendously to, increase the family strength.
Thank you so much. Thank you, General Mehta.
Thank you very much indeed.